The politics of the day, and with us from the Liberal Party we have MP Tim Wilson. And Tim, I know you're in Canberra. There is a parliamentary hearing. We want to ask you about that in a moment, but first the big news of the day: confirmation from the Prime Minister today that there will be the government will expedite the tax cut for small businesses and medium businesses up to a turnover of $50 million a year. That's going to happen now by 2022.
That's right, and what the government has come out and clearly said is a consequence of strong economic management of the budget. Of course, increased receipts because of a growing economy. We're able to bring those tax cuts forward to be able to deliver a better result for the Australian people, so small businesses can invest in their future, grow jobs and keep the economy growing.
Does it have the same impact on wages that you would have hoped for if it... because as we spoke to one economist just a short time ago, the pressure of having tax cuts across the board creates the competitive nature of the labour market. That doesn't necessarily happen when it only goes to one sector of the business community, Tim.
Well, we are hoping that we'll see increased pressure for labour. We're already seeing increased pressure for labour, which will only mean more people are looking for jobs, and there'll be more jobs available for people to be able to secure. That is likely to increase pressure on wages upwards, which is, I know, a critical issue for many Australians. But ultimately, that's going to come from more money being in the pockets of businesses, because this government has delivered strong economic management and managed the budget so carefully and cautiously to deliver it.
What's going on with this religious freedom report, Tim Wilson? We see Scott Morrison today being encouraged to ban discrimination on the basis of religious freedom. What's your view on this?
Well, I've said I'm cautiously supportive. What we have is anti-discrimination laws that deal with issues around race, sex, disability discrimination. Religious discrimination is not part of that package. I'm waiting to see what comes out of the government's response, but also the measures and what would actually be included in the law before offering sort of formal support. But the in-principle support is there, because I think it's ridiculous that, you can't be discriminated against on the basis of your ethnicity, say you're from Iran, but we can discriminate against you on the basis that you're Muslim. That seems to be kind of inconsistent with the intention of anti-discrimination law.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister was at pains to point out that the state legislation that already exists that would allow some religious schools to ban a gay teacher or a gay student, for example. Is there a federal law? Could the federal government actually put in something in place to overturn those state bans, or at least, be the umbrella on top of it?
Well, I run for federal parliament to be able to legislate for federal law rather than to seek to go around and prosecute agendas against the states. But we're obviously looking, as part of this, as part of the Ruddock report. We're waiting to see what comes out of the Ruddock report, and then, of course, what the government's response is. But I'm sure it'll be fair, considered and measured as part of a full package that's necessary to drive or to protect the freedoms of every Australian and to promote the type of Australia that we want to be.
When you look at the recommendations, though, in terms of a Religious Discrimination Act, would you be comfortable with it if it extended to that area where, schools might be in a position where they could knock back a teacher or a student given their sexual orientation? Is that something you'd be comfortable with?
What we've got to do is be intellectually honest. In 2013, the Rudd government introduced measures which made it possible or expanded the base in which religious schools could discriminate against employees as well as enrollees, and this point has been made very clearly by the Attorney-General Christian Porter yesterday. So these issues are already on law. Would I support an expansion of those laws? Resolutely not. In fact, what has been considered as part of the Ruddock report is how to narrow those provisions. I'm waiting to see what the government's response to that is, but taking a sensible, measured step that actually puts the health and welfare of children first, I would have thought is a sensible thing to do, and to roll back Labor's carte blanche approach.
We mentioned earlier, you're on the Economics Committee today. CEOs of the Commonwealth Bank and Westpac appearing. What do you want to hear? Obviously, we've seen so much in the news from the Royal Commission and related matters. What do you want to hear as a member of this committee today?
What I want to hear is a very clear statement from the bank CEOs. They understand the consequences of the report that's come out from Commissioner Hayne. I want to see a clear understanding of the measures they're going to take, and that there's a degree of accountability within banks, as well as a cultural change that's putting customers first. I think that's not just what I want to hear. I think that's what the Australian people want to hear as well.
Liberal MP Tim Wilson, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for that. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Kieran.